The distress call, the bridge of the EDV Dauntless hummed with the quiet efficiency of a well-trained crew. Captain Eliza Morgan stood with her hands clasped behind her back, dark eyes fixed on the vast starfield displayed on the main view screen. Her weathered face, marked by 15 years of deep space command, betrayed no emotion as she watched the stars drift by. "Another uneventful patrol, Captain," remarked Lieutenant Raj Patel from the navigation console, stifling a yawn. Morgan's lips curved slightly. "Uneventful is good, Lieutenant. Uneventful means no one's trying to kill us today." The Dauntless led a fleet of 5 vessels on a routine border patrol at the edge of human space. 50 years after humanity's explosive entrance onto the galactic stage, Earth Defense Force had established a tenuous peace with its neighbors. Humans were respected, if not entirely understood, or trusted. "Captain," the sharp voice of communications, Officer Wei Chen cut through the ambient noise of the bridge. "Incoming transmission on an unusual frequency band. I've never seen anything like it." Morgan turned, instantly alert. "Source?" "Unknown, ma'am. It's originating from somewhere in the Lyra system, well outside our territory." "Lyra?" frowned Security Chief Nikolai Volkov, a mountain of a man who rose from his station. "There are no established civilizations in that region, just unexplored space." Wei's fingers danced across her console. "It's definitely a distress signal. The pattern is unmistakable, but the language—" She shook her head. "It's not matching any known linguistic database." "Put it through," Morgan ordered. The bridge speakers emitted a series of crystalline tones that seemed to resonate directly with the nervous system. Despite being unlike any language the crew had ever heard, the message conveyed unmistakable emotion, desperation, fear, and urgent need. "The universal translator is struggling, Captain," Wei reported, "but I'm getting fragments. Something about planetary instability, core failure, millions of lives at risk." Morgan tapped her fingers thoughtfully against the arm of her command chair. "Plot a course to the signal's origin. Alert the fleet." Volkov stepped closer, his voice lowered. "Captain, I strongly recommend caution. This could be a trap. The Lyra system borders Teridian space. They've never been friendly to human expansion." "Noted, Chief," Morgan nodded. "But we can't ignore a distress call, not when lives are at stake." She turned to address the bridge crew. "Yellow alert. Prepare for potential first contact scenario. And let's not go in blind. Launch long-range probes immediately." As the Dauntless and its sister ships altered course toward the unknown signal, tensions rose throughout the fleet. First contact situations were always unpredictable, and humanity's history in space had taught them caution the hard way. 20 hours later, the human fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of a binary star system. What greeted them left even the most seasoned crew members momentarily speechless. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Patel. Before them hung a planet that seemed carved from a single massive crystal. Its surface captured the light of twin suns and scattered it in dazzling prismatic displays. Continental formations of deep blue crystal met oceans that shimmered like liquid silver. Delicate spires rose from the surface, twisting upward in structures that defied conventional architecture. "It's beautiful," Morgan said softly, "and in serious trouble," added Science Officer Dr. Octavia Wells, studying her readings with concern. "The planet's core is highly unstable, Captain. I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations and increasing tectonic activity. Those crystalline structures won't withstand the stress for long." "Life signs?" "Billions, ma'am, but unlike anything in our database. They appear to be crystalline in nature, silicon-based life forms." Morgan straightened her uniform. "Open a channel to the planet." After several tense moments, the view screen flickered and revealed a chamber filled with beings that seemed composed entirely of translucent crystal. They had no recognizable facial features, yet somehow conveyed emotion through shifting patterns of internal light that pulsed within their structures. "This is Captain Eliza Morgan of the Earth defense vessel Dauntless," she said clearly. "We received your distress signal and have come to offer assistance." One being, radiating a serene blue light, moved forward. When it spoke, its voice reminded Morgan of wind chimes. I am High Resonator Prism of the Crystalline Harmony. Your prompt response was unexpected, Earth vessels. Morgan noted the hesitation. We came as quickly as we could. Our sensors indicate your planet is experiencing severe instability. How can we help? The crystalline beings vibrated slightly, and colors flashed between them in what appeared to be silent communication. Finally, the lead being spoke again. Captain Morgan, while we appreciate your offer, there are concerns about accepting assistance from your species. Lieutenant Wei looked up from her console. Captain, I believe they're afraid of us. Morgan nodded slightly. It wasn't the first time. Humans had discovered that their evolutionary path, forged on a high-gravity world filled with predators and disasters, had made them physically intimidating to many galactic species. High Resonator, I understand your hesitation, Morgan said carefully, but I assure you we come only to help. Before Prism could respond, the chamber on the view screen shook violently. Several of the crystalline beings fractured visibly, their lights flickering in what could only be pain. Are you all right? Morgan called out as the transmission stabilized. The tremors grow worse, Prism responded. Their light dimmed considerably. This one originated directly beneath our capital city. After a pause, the alien continued with resigned tones. Perhaps we have no choice but to accept your help, Captain. But I must warn my people of your nature. Morgan understood the implication. We'll send a small team first. Just myself and a few specialists. Would that be acceptable? 2 hours later, Morgan led a team of 5 humans down the ramp of their shuttle onto the crystalline surface of the alien world. The landing pad sparkled beneath their boots, and the air carried a faint musical quality as if the entire planet was quietly humming. A delegation of crystallians waited, hovering a meter above the ground, their transparent bodies pulsing with nervous amber and pale yellow lights. Morgan noticed they retreated slightly with each human step. They're terrified, Dr. Wells whispered. Move slowly. No sudden movements. Morgan recognized High Resonator Prism at the front of the group by their distinctive blue inner light. She stopped a respectful distance away and bowed slightly. Thank you for meeting us, High Resonator. This is my team of specialists who can help assess your situation. Another crystallian floated forward, their form jagged with sharp edges and pulsing with suspicious red light. Why do you wear those coverings? Are you concealing weapons? These are standard environmental suits, Morgan explained patiently. Your atmosphere is breathable for us, but we follow first contact protocols. She slowly removed her helmet, revealing her face. The assembled crystallians vibrated intensely, their lights flickering rapidly. Your outer layer, Prism observed, with what seemed like horrified fascination. It's soft and flexible. Yes, we call it skin. And those are your sensory organs? Asked another crystallian, pointing with a crystalline appendage toward Morgan's face. Eyes, nose, mouth. Yes. The suspicious red crystallian, whom Prism introduced as Facet, moved closer. Show us how you move. Understanding this was a test, Morgan took a few normal steps. The crystallians retreated instantly, their lights pulsing in alarm. So fast, one whispered, and so heavy. Morgan stopped, realizing the source of their fear. To these delicate floating beings, human weight and movement must seem predatory and dangerous. She deliberately slowed her movements and softened her voice. High Resonator, we understand your caution, but time is critical. May we begin our assessment? Before Prism could answer, another violent tremor shook the landing area. The crystalline surface beneath them cracked, and several crystallians emitted high-pitched tones of pain as the vibrations traveled through their bodies. Morgan instinctively reached out and steadied Prism, who had drifted closest to her. The touch lasted only a moment, but it changed everything. You controlled your strength, Prism observed when the tremor subsided. You could have shattered me, but you didn't. Of course not, Morgan replied. We're here to help, not harm. A large section of a distant crystal tower collapsed in the aftermath of the quake, sending a musical crash echoing across the landscape. That was the historical archive, Prism said quietly. 8,000 cycles of our history, gone. Morgan watched dismay spread through the Crystallian delegation and made her decision. High Resonator, we need to act quickly. My science officer estimates your planet has less than 15 days before catastrophic failure. Will you allow us to bring in our equipment and begin work? The Crystallians exchanged pulses of light in their silent communication. Finally, Prism's form straightened, glowing with steady resolve. Very well, Captain Morgan. We will place our world in your hands, though they are heavier than we would wish. Morgan smiled gently. Sometimes heavy hands are exactly what you need in a crisis. As the human team began unloading equipment from the shuttle, the Crystallians watched with a mixture of fear and fragile hope. Their beautiful world was breaking apart beneath them, and their only chance for survival rested with creatures they had been taught to fear, the deathworlders from Earth. Neither humans nor Crystallians could have guessed how this encounter would transform them both, or what ancient dangers they would soon uncover beneath the planet's glittering surface. The unexpected alliance. The central chamber of the Crystallian science nexus glittered as walls of living crystal refracted light from both the twin suns outside and the bioluminescent glow of the gathered aliens. Captain Morgan stood before a three-dimensional projection of the planet's core, her face grim as she studied the chaotic energy patterns swirling within. This is worse than we thought, she said to Dr. Wells and Chief Engineer Torres, who flanked her on either side. The core isn't just unstable, it's being actively disrupted. Torres pointed to several geometric patterns visible within the chaos. Those formations aren't natural. I'd bet my commission there's technology down there, ancient and malfunctioning. High Resonator Prism floated closer, light pulsing with concern. Technology impossible. The core has always been sacred space, forbidden to all Crystallians. How far back do your historical records go? Dr. Wells asked gently. 10,000 cycles, Prism replied. Since the Great Harmonizing, when our consciousness first emerged from the crystal. And before that? Before that is the time of silence, known only through myth. Wells exchanged a meaningful glance with Morgan. Are you suggesting that someone else was here before us? Prism asked. That's exactly what we're suggesting, Torres finished. And whoever they were, they left something behind in your planet's core, something that's breaking down after thousands of years. Science Coordinator Lattice floated forward, their light pulsing with scientific curiosity overcoming fear. What kind of technology could survive within a planetary core? Torres scratched her head. Nothing built by humans, that's for sure. But we've encountered artifacts from precursor civilizations before, built to last millions of years. A violent tremor shook the chamber, stronger than any previous one. Crystalline fragments rained from the ceiling as the Crystallians emitted harmonics of distress. Whatever it is, it's failing now and taking your planet with it, Morgan said decisively. We need to get down there. The Crystallian Council members pulsed with alarm. Impossible, exclaimed Facet. The pressures and temperatures would shatter any Crystallian instantly. We're not Crystallians, Morgan said simply. Humans are built differently. We can handle conditions that would be dangerous for you. Aliens exchanged rapid flashes of colored light, their version of whispered conversation. Finally, Prism turned back to the humans. You mean to say your bodies can withstand the conditions near our core? The heat, the pressure? With proper equipment, yes, Morgan confirmed. We come from a world with extreme environments. Our bodies evolved to be adaptable. The Crystallians' lights dimmed in collective awe and renewed fear at this reminder of human resilience. Then we have no choice but to permit your descent, Prism said finally. But know this, no one has ever returned from the deep chambers. Morgan nodded solemnly. We'll be the first. 6 hours later, Morgan stood at the entrance to the crystal descent, an ancient shaft that led toward the planet's core. She was encased in a reinforced environmental suit designed for extreme conditions, as were Torres, Dr. Wells, and 3 other specialists from her crew. Final systems check, Morgan ordered as the team ran diagnostics on their suits. This is our only shot at this. Core destabilization is accelerating. We have 10 days at most before the planet starts breaking apart completely. Just as the team prepared to enter the shaft, High Resonator Prism approached, accompanied by Science Coordinator Lattice and, surprisingly, Facet. Captain Morgan, Prism's voice was solemn. Our entire world watches your descent. You go to places no Crystallian has ever gone, to our sacred core, the source of our life. Morgan nodded respectfully. We understand the trust you're placing in us. Facet floated forward, their light still pulsing with suspicion. Do you consider what power you would have controlling the heart of our world? Torres snorted inside her helmet. Trust me, we've got plenty of problems on our own worlds without trying to steal yours. Morgan gave her engineer a warning look, then turned back to the Crystallians. Council Member Facet, I understand your concern, but right now the only power in your core is destroying your planet. We're going to try to stop that. The descent was more difficult than any of them had anticipated. By the second kilometer, the temperature outside their suits had risen to nearly 250 degrees. The crystal steps were slick with mineral condensation, and periodic tremors sent stone fragments raining down the shaft. Captain, panted Specialist Jackson, the geologist, these tremors are getting stronger the deeper we go. That's the opposite of what we'd expect. Morgan paused on a landing to check her readings. Confirmed. Something down there is generating energy pulses that travel outward. Another violent shake nearly knocked Torres off her feet. She grabbed a crystal outcropping to steady herself and whistled softly. Would you look at that? The wall where she had placed her hand was now glowing, intricate patterns spreading outward from her touch like ripples in water. It's responding to you, Dr. Wells said in wonder, scanning the patterns. These aren't Crystallian designs. They're something much older. Torres traced one of the patterns with her finger. They look like circuit diagrams, but using crystal as the medium instead of metal. Morgan made a decision. Follow the patterns. I think they're lighting our way. As the team descended further, more patterns activated at their touch. By the 4th kilometer, the shaft opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. The chamber was a perfect sphere, at least a kilometer across, with a smaller sphere suspended in its center. Between the outer and inner spheres, countless crystal pillars pulsed with energy, creating a web of light that flowed in complex patterns. Some pillars were dark or flickering, and many had cracked. It's a machine, Torres whispered in awe. The whole planet is a machine. Morgan's suit sensors were going haywire, detecting massive energy fluctuations. Torres, what are we looking at? The engineer was already scanning the structures, her eyes wide behind her helmet visor. If I had to guess, some kind of planetary engineering system. Terraforming technology, but on a scale I've never seen before. Dr. Wells moved closer to one of the pillars, careful not to touch it. These crystals, they're structured exactly like Crystallian physiology, just much larger. A particularly violent tremor shook the chamber and several more pillars cracked. Warning lights flashed on everyone's suits. Energy spike, shouted Specialist Reyes. Captain, this place is becoming unstable. Morgan made a quick assessment. Torres, I need to know if you can fix this. The engineer was already connecting diagnostic equipment to one of the more stable pillars. I don't know yet. This tech is millions of years beyond us, but... She paused as data streamed across her tablet. I think I understand the basic principles. It's a system designed to maintain the planet's crystal structure. Some components are failing, causing cascade failures throughout the network. Can we repair it? Torres shook her head. Not with anything we brought, but... Her eyes narrowed as she studied the readings more carefully. Captain, these failures aren't random. They're showing patterns consistent with deliberate sabotage. Sabotage? Morgan's voice sharpened. Are you sure? Before Torres could answer, a new alarm blared from Jackson's equipment. Movement detected. Something's in here with us. The team spun around, activating their suit lights to scan the shadows between the crystal pillars. For a moment, there was nothing. Then a dark shape slithered around one of the pillars, its surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. What the hell is that? Reyes whispered. The shape paused, then seemed to ripple and expand. It was roughly humanoid but composed of a strange, shifting darkness that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Where the Crystallians were beings of light, this was a creature of absolute void. Unknown life form, Dr. Wells said, her voice steady despite the tension. Definitely not Crystallian. More shapes appeared, moving between the pillars with unnatural grace. They seemed to be gathering around the damaged sections of the machinery. Morgan activated her suit's weapon systems, a precaution she had hoped not to need. "Identify yourselves," she called out, her voice amplified by her suit's speakers. The cue. Void creatures stopped moving. Then, with a sound like tearing space, one of them spoke. "Humans. Unexpected. Unfortunate." The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, bypassing their ears and resonating directly in their minds. "Who are you?" Morgan demanded. "What are you doing to this planet?" "We are the Void Collective. This world is ours. Its energy feeds us." Torres connected the dots first. "You're deliberately destabilizing the core. You're killing billions of Crystallians." The Void creature's form rippled in what might have been amusement. "They are a byproduct, an accident. The machinery was built to create energy, not life. We reclaim what is ours,